Hey guys, COMPUTEROSIS here. Welcome to another episode of Let's Play Kingdom Hearts Final Mix in HD. And this is actually the second time I had to record this. The first time, just to make a long story short, even though this is going to be one of the longest episodes
Those worlds will be restored if we beat Ansem,
Final
right?
Mix to date on this channel.
But if we do beat him,
The
and
original
all these
recording
worlds become restored and disconnected,
basically
happen to
was
this
one
place?
part
and to us,
me just talking how I normally would,
This is a heartless
since
world, so
I
maybe
won't
it'll
tell
just
you what I'm talking about
disappear.
until I get to those segments.
But no
And then
worries.
the rest of it is
Even if
just
this
me
place
falling
goes
asleep
poof,
because
our
of how
hearts
late
ain't
it
going
was.
nowhere.
I'm actually
I'm sure
recording it
we'll
1
find
hour
our pals
before
again. Yep,
the
I
last
just
time
know that we will.
I tried to record this, because this is a very long episode.
You're right.
It's basically over an hour and a half.
I'll return this.
And for those of you
I
wondering,
promise.
no, the head writers have told me to don't worry about any of the little things. You know, that's everywhere, where they're taking care of that. But they wanted me to record this as soon as possible, so that way I can get to the rendering and be able to upload it on schedule. This one will take a while. This will take close to about 15 hours to get uploaded from my current laptop location. So there's that. I will say though that despite the many hours that was recorded from between like 2 a.m. to about 9 a.m. It's about 7 hours. And yet it only was able to capture less than 30 minutes of what was being said. And that kind of just swung a little bit. So now we have the second recording. And that's one of the things I never liked doing when it comes to Post Commodore. I wanted to do one take and go and just work with what I have. There's only a couple times where I had to like change audio. I think the most recent one I think of is when I tried to do the Synthesizing special, which takes place after beating the game, and completing it with these free trophies. Is already in my belt. And basically just going through the process Final Mix style, showing off all the equipment, and then of course I won't screw up and all that. Which was it was an interesting thing to record because one half of it was recorded just slowly based on just using Audacity. Which, as much as I want to use Audacity for something like this, it doesn't work as much as I want to, or at least in a sense there's a weird audio fluctuation that I sometimes have problems with, which is it's no big deal for me, but it does kind of lead to sort of the game overshadowing my own voice, and even with bringing up the volume to at maxed value for the audio on the or at least my audio, it's still comes out to be way too low, or the audio from the game comes out to be way too high, since both of them were recorded pretty damn raw, to be honest. So there's that. But enough dwelling on what used to be on a track that probably will never get released ever again. Let's actually just move on to what I want to actually talk about. One of the things that I wanted to do, at least for this particular episode, because of how long it is make it just one big overview of everything that's been going on from here to there, so that way you're caught up. And even if you want to marathon this, which I would recommend on the grounds of just recommending it through the playlist. By the way, there's one episode I have to get to put on the playlist. I should probably do that afterwards, if I'm still awake, because even though it's a little after 1 in the morning, still there is a sense of maybe they go through. Another thing, just to go back to the technical side, is I have to make sure my computer does not sleep, because apparently that was a major factor on why the previous recording was less than 30 minutes. Despite the 7 hours of raw recording post commentary. So there's that. But anyway, back to the whole overview thing. As you guys have probably recognized, even through the title itself, this of course is Final Mix in HD, where the whole point is to basically beat the game under these free restrictions of the trophies, these that are placed in this game. These free trophies are Speedster, Unchanging Armor, and Undefeated. Let me just break down what each of these trophies are, just to give you a little heads up in case you just need a little refresher. Speedster trophy is basically beating the game under 15 hours, which seems pretty simple in context, but when you're trying to do it alongside the other two trophies are on the same time, it can get a little bit difficult depending on the difficulty that you're choosing to play it on. But we'll get to the difficulty later on. Anyway, the next trophy is Unchanging Armor, where you don't change any of the equipment. You basically stick with your default equipment throughout the entire game until you actually beat the final boss, which is Ansem, and his giant ass motherfucking ship. He doesn't have the best ship, but it's not OTP, but god damn, is it so fun to just beat the crap out of it and watch it explode. So it's fun. So there's that, and then there's Undefeated, which luckily in this episode will clearly show way later on what you can do to make sure that this trophy will stay active, because it's one of the easiest trophies that you can still keep active no matter what restrictions you're on. You just don't have to press continue, which I know some of you have already gotten the habit on. Damn it, the boss died. Continue. I know I can do this. I got the right level to do this. Damn it. No, it's tempting, but here it gives an understanding as to why I would constantly save throughout this. Because usually if you're doing a speed run, you never try to save any way, shape, or form. It's a speed run. You're trying to do this the quickest way possible. So far, the quickest I've seen is basically a little under 3 hours. But there's a lot of factors that I put into consideration. In terms of just speed running entail. One of the major factors dwells on certain things that could happen and couldn't happen. One of the major things that could not happen is the appearance of Monstro, which apparently, even though it's highly doubtful that it could happen, but when you're trying to go to the next world right after Monstro, it can get very interesting if you do get eaten. So that does waste a few seconds on the time overall. But one of the biggest things, and that was something I never realized until this full-on playthrough of this game, because I recorded this. It took 14 hours to record from start to finish. There was a few hiccups, some that I was easily able to take care of, and one of the hiccups, which is something I didn't realize, was it involves Neverland. And because of course you're supposed to get bombarded by the pirate ship, and then you're basically taken on board. But apparently, there's a slim chance that if you're coming from Halloween Town, or even from Atlantica, if you really want to beat everything beforehand, you really want to take the extra challenge of unlocking those extra worlds. Well, then apparently Captain Hook's pirate ship could literally not appear, and you'll end up at Atlantica if you came from Halloween Town, or Halloween Town if you just came from Atlantica. that was something that's never happened to me ever. And when it first happened, especially during this recording, it really fucked me up, and I had to, of course, edit, make sure that during the time I had, because I had to do quickly on it, make sure that I was able to make it in a way that I can instantly, like, just edit that part, so that way I didn't have to worry about it too much. But of course, one of the biggest problems about that was, especially with the two major hiccups. There was a third one, but I decided to leave it because it kind of laid some significance, even though it was the long ass gummation part where apparently I was taking my sweet ass time trying to deck it out and make sure that it had the least amount of trying to resist any sort of agility to flying a ship you'll ever see, kind of, but still making it where it can still be flown and not take as much damage as it needs to with its limited amount of equipment attached. Anyway, the two screw-ups, which are pretty easy to recognize. One was in Trevorstown, which happened right after being opposite armor. Because for the first time, I sort of screwed up by wandering, not figuring out the objective. Because it's been a while since I played that. Since I played Kingdom Hearts 1. So that was like one of the major things I kind of forgot about. And then when I finally did remember it, I had to restart it because I just had to load the game, and I ended up taking the opposite armor again, and then just editing from there. But considering how awesome Shob is, you can only do post commentary on one section at a time. I tried doing 2 sections and apparently it didn't work, or it just didn't want to, and that kind of ticked me off a little bit. So I had to. So that was like one of the times where I just had to do the audio recording twice and be able to do well, which worked out well enough for what it's worth. So there's that implication on that. But back to the overview of the trophies themselves. When it comes to the Speedster trophy, of course, you're beating it under 15 hours, which is pretty simple in context. You only have to go through 10 worlds max, or at least a minimum of 10 worlds that are actually significant to the worlds that you need to go to, and that should take no more than 10 or 11 hours tops if you're just gonna go straight to to the actual battles that you need to go through and all that. So there's that. And even then you still have some extra time on your hands to level grind. One of the major things that I suggest would be the Speedster trophy. If you're going to implement level grinding in there, that I highly suggest waiting to level grind until you're at end of the world. This world right here. Wait until you get to the final save point you can ever do in this game before the final battle. Check your time. Because you're going to need at least an hour and a half of spare time left in order to go through this boss battle. Well, the reason why I say this is because the final boss battle can take a while. It can take minimums to about minimum of 30 minutes. It can take an average of an hour, or if you're very low leveled, it could take a little bit longer. But if you have the skills to keep yourself alive and well, and you have good strategical tactics besides pressing X to win, you're gonna be pretty okay. But I still suggest keeping the hour and a half open and just defeat him there. Beat him during that hour and a half. So that way you're guaranteed to get that Speedster trophy.
Heal.
as far as the unchanging armor and unchanging equipment, if you're going to do that trophy, even if it's just a standalone, one of the things if you want to make this a little bit simple, you can play it on beginner mode, because in Final Fantasy beginner mode, you're giving some extra equipment, extra stat boosts if you want to use them, and it becomes super helpful, especially with how low your base attack is, and how it will only increase through just from simple attack up, defense up, and AP up. So yeah, it's besides leveling up, but still it will take its toll. So basically during the second half of the game, and especially after going through Hollow Bastion for your first turn basically for your first run through Hollow Bastion, right before shit hits the fan. And but yeah, another thing that I kind of suggested, I think I suggested it in the Synthesizing special. If not, I'm going to be suggesting it here. Is if you're going to take care of the Synthesizing items, I highly suggest you do that on a separate playthrough. As much as I say, oh, do it all in the, like, get all the Synthesizing items, do that, get all the Unchanging armor, get the Undefeated, and even get all the Synthesizing items, all within under 15 hours. I'm telling you this right now, I highly doubt you can do that in under 15 hours. As much as I want to say, oh, you could totally do that as long as you have Lucky Strike. But even with Lucky Strike, the certain things that you need to have that will take way too long, and sometimes if you will only get it afterwards. So it's past the 15 hours mark. But however, there is a little trick that I did learn through my adventures through Game Facts. Apparently, there is a point where right when you reach 100 hours of playthrough, the clock resets, and so does the Speedster trophy. It resets back to counting down to 15 hours. So in a sense, you could, but the amount of time you will have to waste in total, in my opinion, it's not that worth it, and you're just wasting a lot of energy keeping your PS3 on for a minimum of 4 days, or of an average of about 4 to 5 days, which again, I highly do not suggest that. Mostly just for energy reasons. If you have the money to pay for the energy bill, no matter how high it is, then by all means do that. But overall, I do not recommend it. It's sort of a last resort thing, but even then, I still do not recommend it on the grounds of how much time you have to waste just to make sure that you get this Speedster trophy to work, per se. So yeah, I highly suggest doing the Synthesizing on a separate playthrough. Sure, you could do it on your beginner playthrough, but where the enemies do respawn, and certain enemies are just in different locations, it makes finding the right items even more of a chore to find, at least for me. So I do highly suggest playing on a separate playthrough to get the Synthesizing items. I mean, yeah, that's basically one of the biggest tips I can give in terms of Synthesizing, because when you're starting a new game, you know where all the enemies are, and this is way before you beat Hollow Bastion or at least you go for Hollow Bastion in your first one, because you beat Hollow Bastion during your second one and you actually lock it there. So from there, like right before going to Hollow Bastion, I should take the time to go for the Synthesizing Sizing. Synthesize as many items as you can at that moment. Try to snag at least 5 extra items from the amount of items you can get. There's only certain items that I do suggest waiting until all shit to break loose to finally go for the terrorizing. The ones that I would think of is over half of the stones, they don't become relatively easy or available to get until after you go for your first run of Halloween Town. I think it was like the Fury Stone and the Stormy Stone. Those are like 2 stones I can think of that they were better to get right after the different heartless spawns like change, because those stones become relatively much more easier to acquire. And I think it was the it was either the Fury Stone or the Stormy Stone that becomes readily available from the Hollow Bastion. So there's that. There are a couple stones you can get beforehand. There's the stone that's in Deep Jungle that you can get even before you do Deep Jungle, but the rarity of that is sort of slim in that sense. You could technically get the stone from Wonderland after you beat it for the first time, but at that moment you're not really as strong enough to really have a suitable chance of getting it, especially when the biggest objective is to defeat as many Giga Shadows as you can, and if a Giga Shadow hits you, it disappears. So I do highly suggest to wait until you're a bit higher up in skill, but I have mostly recommended once you get Strike Raid, beef up your MP or find something, or at least equip a lot of MP on hand, and once you get a shot with Pier, just spam Strike Raid, right? Because that makes you invincible, and it does keep them away from you. But like I said, you still need to have a good amount of strength to at least dent them a little bit, so that way they don't all up on your grill and all that, and there's a much higher chance of defeating them all and getting like 2 or 3 whatever stone they drop it. I'm totally blanking out here, and I'm trying my very best not to look at the strategy guide as I'm telling you this. So so good on me for that, I guess. Yes. Let's see. There's you have to defeat the you're gonna have to complete Agrabah in order for the pot scorpions to appear. The enemies I was thinking of in Deep Jungle, I totally forgot, but it's more or less just a memory game. Just remember where they are. There is tips on pausing things, but unless you have good concentration skills, even with the pausing thing, you still need a good amount of knowing which is which to get an understanding of it, or at least follow. So it's not like you couldn't do it, but they give you so many chances on it, it's ridiculous, and sometimes you can guess and get it right. So I'm not too worried about that one per se. Is there one in Aquaba? Is there one in Atlantica? I'm drawing a blank on if there is one in Atlantica. I'm drawing a no, but it could be. Right now, I know Monstro has one, but you can't do it until after you basically get spit out by Monstro, and then you head back to the same area you found the Parasite Cave, and you will find the Search Ghost, And the only way you defeat the Search Ghost is basically by giving it recovery items, where more or less I suggest if you have a lot of elixirs with you, because you don't use them as often, and you were like me when I was playing on Proud and just trying to stock up on high potions, like as if it's going out of style, didn't realizing that enemies start dropping high potions and you can't really collect them because no one in your team is at that point where they need a high potion, so you're basically just forcing each other to give them high potions in order to make sure that you can get high potions. Get those staggering high potions into your inventory, only to just slightly get rid of them, give them in order to get more money, because apparently you're missing one or two orange chakras that you can easily buy from Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Shortly, it was I think it was like before you even go to the Hollow Bastion, but it's only during that moment and beyond when it becomes readily available. But it costs so much money to get it that you're better off trying to find it through random occurrences, like going through the clock tower itself. But anyway, back to my discussion of stones. Apparently, I know Halloween Town. That's also, you can do it until after you defeat Oogie Boogie and get rid of it. Fun fact, actually, after you beat Lock, Shock, and Barrel, hopefully in that order, because apparently it gives you slightly more experience if you beat them in that order. Right after you hit the switch, you actually hear the ticky sound. At first it seemed as if nothing happened, but once you go outside, the cages which had the free cages would have free treasure chests in it are open, and you can technically go in and get the treasure chest. Now, sure, you can wait until you defeat Oogie Boogie's transformation into his own manor, and you basically destroy that manor. You can wait afterwards to go down that little ditch and find those free treasure chests. But I was a bit impatient, and I just wanted to know what that little thing did, and that's basically what it did. For the most part, it basically just gave you basically just opened up these cages for you. The same thing happened in Kingdom Hearts 1. The only difference is those treasure chests kind of disappeared, I think. It's been a while since there was like a big comparison thing. I know there's like a comparison video, but it's more or less on the big things and not so much on the little things. And on my comparison video, I compare not only the big things but also the little things that to me make playing this version just a lot more better overall. Well, but that's just me on that matter. I know you had to defeat Neverland. You had to beat Neverland in order for that little secret enemy to appear, and you can get the stone from it, which I only recommend going through it after you get Areola. Hopefully from either collecting the over half of the Dalmatians already at this point in the game, if you've really been looking and getting and trying to and going back and forth between different Dalmatians that you're going to get through the Trinity limits. So by then you should have had Areola. Even then, you can get Areola by just defeating the tournament. Yeah, I think it was like defeating the tournament there, because it gives you the yellow Trinity limit, and then you can go straight back into Neverland. Sorry. To go back into Neverland in order to open it in order to get Areola. Which is fine, but as strategy-wise, it's because the secret enemy in Hollow Bastion and the secret enemy in Neverland both could Wolfram, you require to have Areola or Areoga. Areoga. I highly suggest Areoga because it helps take care of the falls that usually come in, because that's one of the easier ways in order for the stones to appear. And as for the other one, basically you just have to feed it as fast as possible without it dying relatively unseen. Otherwise you are fucking screwed unless you just happen to be under it when it happens. Because apparently the game's still a dick like that. They're saying, oh, you defeated the enemy over open water? Well, fuck you. These things are gonna just sink into the ground and it will be out of your reach due to the invisible visual textual wall. Haha, suck it, bitch. And I fucking hate that for multiple reasons on end. And which is weird though, because I'm pretty sure in 358 on the DS, it wasn't that big of a problem actually. Yeah, it wasn't that big of a problem, which is weird though, because apparently people hate 358 the game, but they like 358 the cinematic cutscene. And I have some really choice poison for the 358 cutscene, but we'll get to that later. Like I said, we have a lot of time on our hands. We're barely 30 minutes through this, and we still have an hour left. I still have a lot to talk about, or at least I think I do. Well, at the same time, making sure the computer does not sleep. Okay, if it sleeps, I'm fucked. I'm fucked, and so is this recording, and I don't want it to get fucked. The deadline is coming up, and really, it's coming up, okay? It's dead. You got to press it on you. You just think it, that's what you do, baby. Get out. I know I botched that song to no end. Anyway, back to more talking about Kingdom Hearts, because apparently it works. I'm not going too bit off tangent, but still, I'm still talking about Kingdom Hearts. This is the overview episode. This is the end of the world. We're reflecting, because there's going to be a lot of reflecting that's happening. I'm thinking right now, but don't quote me on that. Maybe we're probably going through those pillars, which I'll mention in about 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. I gotta say that a lot, otherwise people will quote me on that, and they'll be like, "You lied to me." Although, let's be honest, no one really comments on these videos. All they do is just watch, and they're like, "Oh, that was good. I'll put up a like. Like, he'll understand." I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. That doesn't mean I still won't talk about it. But anyway, what's funny though is that you can't skip the free worlds that you can't skip, because it's a total of 13 worlds. Let's be honest, it's 13 worlds. It's 13 worlds from Destiny Islands all the way to Destiny Islands. Even though it's end of the world, it takes you straight into the world. You go for the door and you end up back in, what was that? Destiny Islands. That's where it all goes down in Destiny Islands. It's a loop. But you skip Olympic Coliseum because all that is just a tournament, and it's just there as a means to train, get yourself better. Apparently, if you go for the last 10 rounds, specifically in during the Hades Cup in Olympic Coliseum, apparently that's an easy way to level up at least once or twice per round, or at least per go around, and it's like one of the quickest ways. Or you can go through all 50 rounds and level up 3 or 4 times per roundabout, but the amount of time it takes you to go through that is is on average about 30 to 40 minutes, even though there's a time limit of trying to beat it under 20, which is possible, but there's a certain veins where you just have to beat it under seconds, and less than 5 seconds, just by having an amount of, or just being a high-class wizard when you're not Donald. You just have sword, be buffed up an MP, and just 1D, and have a lot of enhancements in his magic of summoning to the point that his Thunder God basically just destroys everything on the field without mercy, and it's fun. It's kind of cathartic. But it doesn't work with the boss battles. You still have to have the raw energy to take them down. So there's that. But like I mentioned, Hall Bastion, you can only get that stone right after you go through the second playthrough. But before I go for there, if there's one thing that I highly recommend to do, and this is also something that I mostly recommend doing on a second playthrough, or at least your non-speedster playthrough, like beating the game under 15 hours. It has to do with after you go through Neverland and you go to the clock tower. You go to the clock tower every in-game hour and pick up an item that's there. It ranges from attack ups, defense ups, and AP ups, to your standard Mithril, Ori Chalcum, and Dark Matter. Which, by the way, Dark Matter is very limited in this game. No matter if you get all the Dark Matters that you can acquire, you still have to synthesize 2 or 3 more Dark Matters, which means you're gonna have more Mithrils and Mithril shards. Mithril shards are pretty easy to get because they can get dropped by certain enemies. Mainly enemies that are like related to the behemoth, basically, if you want to get technical. Although there are a couple of exceptions, like the barrel spiders and the pot spiders. They sometimes drop Mithril shards. So at least there's a sense of that. In fact, it's the pot centipede that, well, actually it's the pot scorpion that drops the Mithril stone. And apparently you get a higher chance of getting Mithril stone if you defeat all of the fake pots before you go straight to the pot scorpion itself. So it's pretty cool. In that regard. But yeah, you're gonna need a lot of Mithril shards and actually a lot of Lucis shards, which you can get from shadows. Which at first is like, oh, that's simple. I just need to get the certain amount of Lucis shards. You basically need an average of 50. You need over. It's the one synthesizing material where you need over half of the max amount you can have on you at a time. Which can get pretty intense when you find out that you have the right amount of Mithrils, right amount of Mithril shards to make the right amount of Dark Matters, and you run out of Lucid shards. And you're at the point where basically all hell breaks loose, and it's actually very hard to find a place where it's just shadows. Which, to me, I don't like that. I really do not like it. I find it, even though it wasn't as bad, it wasn't as bad or as good as when it was just shadows in Trevor's Town and you're just beating shadows just to overgrind. Although, to be honest, you don't have a single lucky strike on you. So at that point, they're about as rare as trying to get a Mithril shard from a pot spider. From a pot spider, not barrel spider, a pot spider. Yeah, they're easier to beat than a barrel spiders, but especially since they don't blow up But even then, they rarely draw that mythical shard. And then you don't want that mythical shard, that's probably from your playthrough. It's probably not going to happen again. Or maybe it does. I am not sure. Sure. I've already stressed enough that the stone you can get from Treasure Town is a bitch to get, and I fucking hate those sniper walls. They can just go to hell. Hell, they could burn in the heartless hell, whatever the fuck that is. I fucking hate that enemy to no end. Hey, just fucker, fuck them. I hate it. Maybe it's because I don't play enough Metal Gear Solid. So maybe that's it. But I don't care. Fuck them. Fuck them all to hell. Just fuck. Nah. Never want to speak about it. In fact, I just realized I never spoke about it. This is one of the Astral Zones, and then I realized I was like the last one to talk about it. Fuck no. No, I can basically go on a whole rant, and it will basically just me repeating it, and it basically would translate as fuck the sniper walls, fuck them, kill them all. Fuck them all to hell, or something along those lines. It was so easy, and I didn't need freaking 30 to 40 minute video of someone tell you how much they fucking hate a particular enemy. It's not worth it. There's literally nothing you can say that could have just easily summed in just a couple of sentences. Literally. None. This ain't no Sonic 06 bullshit. Shit, no. On there, you can go into fucking detail after detail to the point that you have basically a set of videos that basically equivalent to over 3 hours. Of you ranting at how fucking bad Sonic 06 is, with the exception of its fucking soundtrack that you can get. That you basically get separately. Wait. But you know, there's that. Anyway, back to low key strategies. I mentioned this before that going through the tower and getting those separate items, as it will take an average of 12 in-game hours. 12 in-game hours in order to collect it all. The reason why I say to do this before going through the Hall Bastion the first time is because right after Hall Bastion everything goes to hell. That part of Neverland gets blocked off until you beat the Phantom. Which, by the way, is a very time-consuming battle. Basically, the whole point of the Phantom is just to see how good you are at color coordination and stop basically the magic spell stop. Because you're going to be using it a lot. So you're going to need a lot of efforts. First, maybe some mega elixirs. But I highly doubt it. Basically bring some mega efforts, if you have any. But bring a lot of elixirs. And equip it. That should be your own inventory. Although, to be honest, I should also suggest just some mega elixirs for yourself. So, because frankly, the Phantom hits like a motherfucker, especially on Proud, in which I beated him for a second time. Ugh. I have you on the ropes. Well, guess what? I didn't have second chance with me at the time. Apparently, didn't show up. I wasn't at the right amount of level to get it. One slash, dead. Fucking sucked. So, but apparently it's actually one of the easier of the optional bosses. I think in terms of difficulty ranks, let me see if I can actually remember this correctly. And this is not including the bonus enemy that's in Halloween Town, which is basically just a mini boss battle. I'm not going to count that. I'm also not going to count the behemoths. Yes, they are technically a mini boss. Boss in that regard. No. This is ranging from the Phantom, which is more or less just a time-consuming. it's more or less just a time-consuming battle. About more than just a. It's more of an endurance test than an actual like strength test. Basically, just showing just how well you are at using your spells. With your fire, guy, wizard guy, that depends if you went through the haste cut beforehand, and your thunder guy, and shortcuts, because apparently that's like that's about the recommended shortcut, and then of course your stop bruh, because you can't get stopped until you have to defeat the Phantom. At your manual magic ready, okay? and with no sign of you collecting Areoga, because already you're wasting enough MP as it is. Please, you don't have to waste any more. I guess, if you really want to get technical. I don't know. No, I don't know. It's possible. Whatever. Anyway, that's actually one of the easier ones, but it's just very time consuming. And just more endurance than it needed to be, kind of. So then you have that. Then of course the next runner-up, it's debatable. You can switch it off between Ice Titan and Kirk Zilza. For me, I put Kirk Zilza before Ice Titan. Ice Titan is just a bit above, mainly on the grounds of just having to guard a lot. Where Kirk Zilza, it's pretty straightforward. No computer, no, you're not going to sleep on me. No, just no. Bad computer. Here. Anyway, the reason why I put Kirk Zilza underneath Ice Titan is because with Kirk Zilza, there's a rhythm. There's a particular pattern you can go through. It's pretty simple. So once you get to the rhythm, once you realize that you basically have a good time to summon up Tinkerbell. Which, by the way, this is something I've noticed while playing Final Fantasy. I don't know if it's me getting faster at it, or just it got a little bit extended for Final Mix, at least through 1.5 HD remix, is for some reason, unlike with the PS2 version, here, once I summoned Tinkerbell, apparently I had a lot of time on my hands to like just shoot a bunch of fires, like free fires, if it was part of my shortcuts. It weirded me out a bit. I'm not gonna lie. It seemed like as if times that summoning Tinkerbell got shorter, or maybe because I got faster at summoning it, even when I wasn't even at it at the time. Because I forgot to set it up. But even then, once I summoned Tinkerbell, apparently I still had like 2 or 3 seconds to lay out a couple of fires before you're not allowed to use magic until you defeat his 2 glow orbs that cancel all magic. But like I said, it's more rhythmic in a sense. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple to do, and it becomes almost more of a. Basically all options are a lot more endurance meant with even though the Kirk Zilza is sort of less of endurance and more just how much you can do with raw strength since you're more prone to just go all X once is unconscious. Once it's unconscious and basically defenseless at that point, at least for that short amount of time. But I guess what really brings it down to the fact between Ice Titan and Kirk Zilza for me is that the amount of time Kirk Zilza is defenseless the amount of time the Ice Titan becomes defenseless. Curse's defenseless time is a lot longer than Ice Titan's defenseless. In fact, Ice Titan's defenseless one, the only way you can make it defensive is if you hit these small icicles together. Another big factor between Curse's and Ice Titan being with Ice Titan being above Curse's is the fact that at least with Curse's you can use Areola. You can use Areola. Same thing with the Phantom. Ice Titan? Fuck no. You can't use that shit. That'll make your life a living hell. The one time you do it, all of a sudden, big chunks of icicles that you cannot deflect back. And even when Areola is gone, you better hope that the Ice Titan switches back to shooting small icicles at you, that all he has to do is just defend. But even then, when you're defending it and you reach a certain point, not only does it shoot more icicles to you, but also there's icicles coming out from the ground that can trip you over. There's little ice balls that can come down at you for no reason whatsoever. Why you shoot the little ones? And sometimes the amount of time you want to guard, you just can't. Now, I don't know if you could literally just start swatting air using Combo Master, since it's part of Final Mix, and just hit those icicles back at him. I don't know. Never tried it. I would if I wanted to, but I'm kind of in a pickle here. I got some other games to play to let's play in that factor, so that's out of the question. Out of the question for now. Yeah, but if someone can tell me that you can do that, please let me know in the comments below. Hopefully I can read it. I won't reply back to you because I've yet to implement Google Plus, or at least have Google Plus as my YouTube Lord and Savior. I haven't done that yet. But I know there will be a time where my channel will just instantly become part of Google Plus, and I'll have no choice but to just go along with it. We'll go with the flow, not anymore. Say it doesn't matter anymore. I kind of wish that song Go With The Flow, though, to be used as a Kingdom Hearts AMV. Maybe that's just me. But anyway, with Ice Titan on that ranking, what ranks above it? Because don't forget, we still have Sephiroth, and we still have Xemnas. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I'm missing any. I could be, but don't quote me on that because I can only think of 5 at the moment. So basically, right after Ice Titan is Sephiroth, which again, that's highly debatable. Where that can just be a test with nerds. You can't use every Yoga, unlike with Ice Titan. So there is more of a leeway. But what really makes Sephiroth go above Ice Titan is there are a couple attacks that can basically just one hit KO you, or at least in a sense try to stack him for health a living hell if he quickly goes on the offensive right after doing said attack. So there's that. That used to be number 1, but that was before Final Mix with Xemnas. And oh my fuck! Sorry. Oh my god. Come out of nowhere. So sorry for that. But, oh my gosh. Xemnas means the unknown in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. You are ranked number 1. Where literally you despite at the time I was at level 100. I had amount of max stats based based on the sole purpose. This was all on beginner mode. So, yeah, you can call me a fucking pansy and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's nothing. Really, that's nothing. You're some point standing little crowd. Wow. You know, I would, but it wasn't until the final stretch. The last health bar of Unknown, aka Zemnis. And he uses that one attack where he basically entraps you, and you basically have to press, have to go to the command that's release. If you press it too soon or too late, instead it will shock you, and you'll lose health. Meanwhile, as you're in this prison, you're slowly losing health. Oh, which shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, most people have something to think about at this point. At this point, you should be just fine. This is where I call bullshit, because it turns to a goddamn randomizer, where you're just hoping that the amount of times you press X, one of them just happens to be the release. And not just another shock to take down your health. Like, I got so goddamn lucky on that one. Where I was pressing, I kept on getting shocked. I was losing health left and right. Tinkerbell saved me because basically, once you lose all your health, Tinkerbell saves you once and then just says, bye-bye, bitch. You're on your own. And then I was just on my last bit of health, where I finally got released, did my finishing blow, and I was like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not beating you on another level. This is all on beginner, mind you. Beginner, where the randomizer could have literally been that one attack where you had to do release, was basically the one thing that could make or break the entire battle itself, and it could have led me to my ultimate death. Now, granted, this was all beginner, so technically it only took one battle and one battle only. But literally at any point could have still said shock all the time, even when it got into the triangle command of doing the whole shock, release, shock, all that. Even when it was doing that, because I was like doing the final stretch, even then, I had more of a chance of dying because of how many shocks it was giving out. More toward the release, and the fact that it was a goddamn randomizer just made the battle seem like the first 9/10 of the battle, oh, it's all based on skills. Still, you were able to defend when you used defend. You knew when to counterattack when you had the counterattack. You knew how to use the gravity spell when you needed to use the gravity spell. Because apparently, they nerfed it to the point that you needed to use gravity spell in order to basically shock them in place. Hey, great. Thanks for the handicap. I'm glad to see that your nerf wasn't in vain. But when you still add that bullshit attack, where it's all a goddamn randomizer. A fucking randomizer. On an attack like that? Nuh-uh. Fuck you. Okay? Fuck you for doing something like that. A randomizer to do that. Just no, that undermines the skill portion of it, and instead turns to a goddamn lottery of the life and death variety. I just don't like that. I really don't like that. I don't, okay? That undermines the skill portion of it. That undermines the whole getting very strategic, doing more than just pressing X to win or triangle to counter. It just throws that all away for just the best of luck. And that's something that that as I got older, the more I just hated that as a game mechanic where it's just random like that. I'm sorry, I just no. Just no. Okay? No. I mean I haven't got this upset about a particular optional boss fight since Birth by Sleep. Which, let me just give you a little background for those of you who don't know. There's a secret boss battle in Birth by Sleep. No, not the Nemesis Remnants. No, the other one. The one in the mysterious figure. Fear. And it plays one of my favorite songs from Birth by Sleep. What's played. The song is so badass that literally it doesn't lose its badassness when you're playing it at what seemed like two times the it was like either 2 times the speed, it was like 2 times the speed, both slower and faster, and even in reverse, it still sounded badass. It reminded me when I played the Shield boss battle music, not the orchestral arrangement, no, the 358 MIDI file type where you're playing it backwards. It sounded fucking amazing. Amazing in that regard. Alright, and it even did a little spoil on one of the hidden themes that were in there. Pretty awesome. But anyway, there is a particular attack that the mysterious figure does. Well, basically, it can be done 2 ways. One of the ways is where basically mysterious figure wraps around the particular character you're playing, and it counts down from 5 down. So when you first catch you, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you basically have to furiously press the X button in order to get out. Does it a second time, it's now from 4 seconds down. 4 seconds down. Capture you the first time, it's 3 seconds down. Capture you a 4th time, 2 seconds. You only have 2 seconds to press the X button an X amount of times, which usually will take an average about 3 seconds in order to get out. Yeah, once it reaches 3 seconds, either you're screwed, or you just barely make it, and it's probably gonna happen again, and you're probably gonna die. Instant death. That doesn't matter if you have second chance or once more. It's just instant death. Death. Which, at first for me, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's gonna happen. But here's the thing, though. The whole battle itself, to me, it's more trial and error more than anything. Sure, you can figure out certain patterns, but the whole strategy, it's more random itself. So, and you're just lucky if you just get past all the bullshit part, and still be able to make it to the second half. Yeah. But back to the attack, which I really call bullshit on. Okay, there's a whip that could basically grab you, throw you onto the ground, and throw you up in the air. Now, usually right before there, you're at the point where if you have aerial recovery, you can basically do aerial recovery. It's pretty simple. This is where the bullshit happens. You see, sometimes while you're in the air, the serious figure would use its whip while you're in the air, and throw you down, and while you're bouncing back up, and while you bounce back up, use the whip again to throw you back up, and it will basically go into an endless loop. This is where the bullshit starts appearing. Because usually you're still at the point where you have yet to push the area of recovery, and this is all part of just one big combo, right? Once more we'll pick it up, because you still keep your 1 HP, because you're still very staggered. No, actually, this is the only attack where literally, if it grabs you, and pulls you down, and it puts you at that stage where second chance kicked in, well, guess what? If it does it again, once more it's not going to kick in. No, that counts. Apparently, it counts as a separate attack and not part of the same ass combo, thus killing you. Just like that. Right. Alright, that's 2 out of the 3 bullshit like combo attacks. Right. Sure, there are other bullshit attacks, but usually they're usually countered by just having once more on hand or just second chance, and you're still on the ground. Well, there's multiple mysterious figures just beating the crap out of you. You swear to whatever being in existence that you believe in that one of them does not pull that bullshit rope trick where they throw you down and throw you up. Yup. And you hope that it doesn't make contact more than 4 times. Let alone 2 that could instantly kill you because of that. Sorry. It's just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. No. What makes Mysterious Figure and Purpose even worse to go against, and I am not looking forward to going up against them in Birth by Sleep Final Mix HD edition, because the way Birth by Sleep has it set up is that by saving all the data between your Terra playthrough, your Ventus playthrough, and your Aqua playthrough, even before your final episode playthrough, which barely equates to about 5 hours worth. But since it's the final mix, of course the final episode's gonna have more content, and apparently items that you can barely use for anything. Apparently, I mean, I don't know how that shit's gonna work, but of course, what makes the Sphere just go motherfucker is that because you're doing 3 different playthroughs, each of them equating to about 15 to 20 hours max, or at least a minimum of 15 to 20 hours, depending on how much time you're going to invest in that particular playthrough itself. One of the big things that you need to do is you have to get 100% on each of those playthroughs in order to get 100% fully in Birth by Sleep. Which means you have to defeat the Mysterious Figure not only as Terra, not only as Ventus, but also as Aqua. And let me just tell you, ranging from Aqua being the easiest to defeat the Mysterious Figure, to Terra being the hardest to beat with the Mysterious Figure, I am not looking forward to that one bit, the fact that you have to do it. In fact, speaking of Birth by Sleep Final Mix HD, the fact that it's going to be getting trophy support. There's going to be no doubt it's going to get trophy support. Sure. The fact that I really think they're going to have trophies where you have to defeat a certain thing as either Terra, Aqua, or Ventus, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be 3 separate trophies for the Mysterious Figure here, and even the Venus Remnant where you defeated using that particular character. And it's probably going to be bronze, because apparently, hey, if you're doing this beginner, that means it's a bronze ass trophy. Already I'm going to call. Fuck you, Gabe. Fuck you. No. I get how the trophies, you shouldn't be upset about trophies or achievements, because they just don't matter overall. They're just a way to challenge you. See how well you can do, how well you can actually master the game. Yeah. Some achievements can go as far as saying, hey, we'll just give you this achievement because you completed something that everyone else couldn't complete. Good job. Yeah. Sure, they're lazy. And then some of them are just like, it's like, you've got to be motherfucking kidding me. I mean, that goes against everything this game wants you to do. Dude, have you seen the Sky D2 trophies? Holy shit. Shit, do they really want you to go overboard on that? Well, that's beside the point. So, it's the monotony behind something like that. Especially when trophies can get fucking cheap as fuck. I mean, really, there's a trophy in World War Chainsaw that, to this day, I can never get because the fact that it's so goddamn random. But sure, it's just go from point A to point B. You just don't have to kill anything. In fact, you just have to do only dodge. Last series, all you do is find a pattern. There is no fucking pattern. It's all fucking random. Fuck. Fuck. Just anything that requires any sort of randomization, and that counts as an achievement, that's based on fucking luck. Luck. And again, yeah, as I got older, anything that was like something having to do with luck of doing that is something that I just can't wrap my head around, because there's no skill behind it. There is none. You're basing it on raw luck. Skill has nothing to do with it. Sure, you might have the skills to make sure you have better luck at it. But when the whole thing is based around luck, no matter how high your skill level is, it's still based on luck. Based on a slim chance of luck. Look, I fucking hate it. Hate it to no end. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Yes. I'm already dreading going through Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix because of all the stuff that they added in there. It's sort of too much. And also the whole Bird by Sea Final Mix. This. Not because of all the extra stuff, but what they're gonna do as trophy support. It's gonna be fucking madness up in that shit. It's gonna be pandemonium. You'll be better off watching the 30+ minutes of Recoded. The one game that people agree didn't really do that much. Even though, to be honest, it could have easily set up for more shenanigans with Maleficent. Since apparently Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the last of the Xehanort Saga, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a Maleficent Saga. Wasn't that something that could have happened? But unfortunately, Maleficent got defeated in Kingdom Hearts 1, and instead we got replaced with Ansem. So, who we found out, no, it's not the real Ansem. But just some heartless copy. To pretend to be Ansem the goddamn wise. As much as I want to say, hey, as much as you want to place in, hey, how dare you spoil shit. Okay, first off, I'm sorry if I didn't mention a spoiler alert in that regard. I'm sorry. Right? But there's certain things that just get on my nerves. So there's that. Let's talk about End of the World, because according to my screen, we have apparently the game has reached the point where you're at the area where it's basically just nothing but connecting wires and tubes and all that, and there's a few treasure chests underneath particular arenas. There's a total of 3 arenas. Each of them either have a bunch of dark balls, a bunch of whatchamacallit, the things with the swords, and the things that have the things that are basically supposed to be heartless, or at least equivalent to an angel that shoots things. I don't know. Really tired. Fuck, I'm trying to remember names and it's not coming to me. Anyway, there are certain tribulations here. Either they are extra gummy ship pieces, which for those of you who feel like despite the fact they changed the treasure chest to have much more meaningful shit, and yet there's still gummy ship pieces. Have you tried the gummy ship missions? Just try the gummy ship missions, because some of those are either easy to the point that you can easily do without even trying, or hard to the point that you wish those things were a lot more easier. Let me give you an example of one of the hardest gummy ship missions. I probably mentioned this before in another episode, so this is going to be just simply a repeat. You see, there's this one mission where you basically leave Atlantica and you're heading to, I think what they call CM or CRD jungle or something along those lines. Something where you have to go for the portal. Okay? Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty simple mission. You basically have to collect a certain amount of things, like what it is before you reach the end. It's pretty simple. Pretty easy. You just have to make sure that your gummy ship is equipped with the right tirades in order to make sure that it counts as a full-blown mission and not just a simple short round trip. Even though technically a round trip will say that you're going to run back, but like, then again, I'm gonna call it a round trip since you can basically go anywhere anytime. So just round trip. Even though that's not the correct way of saying round trip, but whatever. So anyway, so you're going through, you're starting off, but then you realize, fuck, the one time where I'm trying to go based upon skill level, because, you know, we're going from the lowest to the highest. Like, you don't just go straight to the highest and be like, yeah, I can conquer this and get your ass kicked. No, you're smart. You rather gradually have an increase. Unless you want the extra challenge, but then by all means. But you're trying to take this well. You're trying to gradually go forward, up and down, all that. You know how it is. But then, look, you realize Monster's there, and of course, Monster has this thing where sometimes Monster pops up, sometimes Monster doesn't. Just whatever Monster feels like popping up, it pops up. So it's almost like the stereotypical mafia boss who comes in asking for you to pay. See, to pay. They don't tell you when exactly to pay. They just tell you pay as soon as you can. Yeah, or else they're gonna bust in there and it's gonna be hell to pay. You know, stuff like that. And then they just pop at the front of your door saying, "Where's my money?" And you're like, "Well, I don't have your money." But of course, you're very scared because he's very imitating. I mean, you know the amount of shit he'll do. He'll fuck up your life. You don't want your life to be that fucked. Fuck. The only way your life will be fucked is if you end up dating the wrong girl. You know? No, that kind of fuck up. It's not that big. It's more emotionally damaging. Not that much physically damaging. No, but the mafia boss is gonna be physically damaging. You know, stuff like that. You don't want that. You don't want that with your life. So there's that. What was I getting at? Shit, that went into a weird ass tangent. I don't even know. Because apparently I was talking about the things. Anyway, ignore what I just said. Let's talk about the pillars. Now, as you probably already guessed, some of them are blue. There were only a couple that were purple. You see, if you see all the worlds, with the exception of Winnie the Pooh, because to be honest, there were no harvests in Winnie the Pooh. You were just there just to get full-on nostalgia and make you realize how much you either liked Winnie the Pooh growing up, or how much you hated Winnie the Pooh growing up, or how much you felt very indifferent about Winnie the Pooh and just wish you were just doing it just because, you know. So you don't have to like everything. No. No. If everyone liked everything, then the world would be much more fucked up than it is now. But then again, what do I know about the world? I've already said that my personal worldview is the equivalent to basically the opening walkie sequence to Shaun of the Dead, the opening sequence to Persona 3 Fez, and the second opening to Death Note, only replace Shaun, the main character, and Light with a dance-walking black guy listening to his iPod Nano. Yeah. But anyway, we're back to the posts themselves. Well, basically, if you seal the world, they're blue, and congratulations. You don't have to worry about going for that pillar. You can basically just go around it and just go straight to the next set, to the next pillar. Unless the pearl is purple, then you have to go through there, defeat all the harlots that are there, and there to make sure that you can indeed go back. It's pretty simple. I don't think yeah. Basically, you take care of all the harlots, and then you can head back. There's a treasure chest that you can open up if you want to, it doesn't matter. But you know, it's that. So, oh wait, no, damn it, it's the other way around. Now, actually, if the thing's purple, you don't go through. If it's blue, you go through. Sorry, it's messed up. Thank you, very slow timestamp of the episode, which reminded me that I was skipping the purple and actually going into the blue. My mistake. Apparently the video is 44 minutes, but I've been doing this post commentary for a little over an hour. I'm gonna keep doing it until it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm gonna stop. Hopefully it collected everything. If not, then I'm gonna go into a fucking rage fit, and it's not gonna be pretty. So, I'm actually gonna hate it. So yeah, show the post light. But of course, you already know about that because they already passed. You knew about the Trinity boss fight. That was the first thing you saw me die there, and I had to reload. Then I basically had to load the game from when I saved the pool. So that was a good example of without doing continues, because it doesn't count if you load the game because it never happened. Unless of course you use continue, then by all means turn off the game, turn it back on and just load from there, because it would not count in that sense. So there's that. The same way you change equipment. You end up changing equipment just once. You took something out, you put something in. But then it's not including items, because you can still hold items, and you can still hold abilities. The equipment comes from the weapon you're using, and the amount of accessories you have equipped on you, whether it be a bracelet, a necklace, or a choke chain. Yeah. So there's that. You do that, then by all means turn off the game, turn it back on, load from your ass stick. You don't want that messing up. You don't want that. You really don't want that. No, seriously, you don't want it. You don't want it. You don't want it. Don't take it. Okay? No heads up. There's gotta be more to say on this. I'm still excited. For 2.5 HD. I'm still excited for it. I'm a little skeptical about what they're going to do as far as trophies. Because even though some of these trophies were pretty straightforward, there were some that were questionable as to what they were thinking. But the trophies are supposed to add just an extra challenge. See how well you can do with the amount of skills you do. I never like trophies that that are just based on some lottery-based randomization bullshit. I never liked that. I think the only game that still to this day I find with the amount of randomization they had, and that's from Super Smash Bros. Melee. Because in that game, one of the things that happened was you collected coins based on just matches that you did with, if you're going to be eventually going through different stages. Just winning points, just defeating a bunch of enemies, being the hand, or going to the adventure mode, which was just going through just different worlds without any sort of any major connectivity with the exception of few certain areas. Itself. And overall, the trophies that you got, they were pretty random. Certain trophies you got Befriend, certain trophies you can only get from getting up from the double machine depending on how many coins you got in. And of course, there's the average of hey, if you put that many coins, you have this much chance in there. Never getting it. And then usually I was like, well, fuck you, I'll just keep going there until I always have 98.0% chance of getting a new item. And it worked out pretty well. I really like that. Sure, I got all from there, and I probably never will. Because I'm not in a hurry to do that. But still, that was something that I accepted that sense of randomness. Is it because of that it said by having this amount of coins you have this amount of chance of getting a new item? It could have been a major factor, but it didn't feel that tedious. It didn't feel like oh, if I don't get this certain trophy it's done for. No, in fact, it just made it even better in retrospect. Because they didn't know that there was. I didn't know how many trophies. I still know how many trophies are there. That's something that I will never look up. Look, I don't want to know how many trophies. If you dare put that in the comments, I will shun you. I will shun you. I'll call you a non-believer. Shun the non-believer. Shun. Probably won't be able to delete your comment because I'm not part of Google Plus. So there's that. Just don't tell me how many. Just no. No, that is something that I don't want to use. You know, I got some time left to talk about something. So I'm gonna end up my outro here and just continue from there because I don't know. Really, the cutoff time will be. I'm assuming it will come in about less than 20 minutes. But anyway, I hope you've been enjoying this commentary a lot more than you should have been, or a lot more than you thought you would, especially what happened the last time. But yeah, I really found something to talk about through this. I know this is the second time recording this. I'm just running myself on this. I remember in the first recording I was talking about like the whole virtual setup. So I guess I'm going more to eliminations on that. The rest of this episode. So hope to see you in the final episode. How long is that episode going to be? Is it going to be as long as this? Is it going to be shorter? You don't know. No. In fact, I'll probably just make it even more suspenseful. Because I'm probably going to edit it in a way that it's actually going to accumulate to when it's going to end. So it's actually going to be the first video in a while where I can just say, this is Neurosis, and we'll see you in the next, in whatever video you see on this channel. And it was just going to end right there. It's going to be the outro, which I talked about before. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. I love it. But anyway, Anyway, I'm just gonna round it off here by just talking about the whole setup here. As I mentioned before, this was recorded in about 14 hours. Hours all at once, mind you. With only a couple of hiccups. See, I'm mentioning something I never mentioned before. See, we're coming back. Coming back, baby. Anyway, one of the original things I wanted to set up was during this 14-hour span. I wanted to cut these up into about. Originally, it was going to be 13 episodes. Now, what originally had set up for this was I wrote down every single world you go to and just broke it up from there. Between just each of the main worlds. There was like 10 worlds in total, so I basically had to find a way to try to stretch up and to make it 13 episodes. So at first I'm like, okay, that works, but then I ran into a bit of a problem. Well, that was like the first mock-up. One of the biggest problems was I didn't put in the times where you revisit the world. Mainly it was Traverse Town. I didn't mention any instances in which you go back to Traverse Town. The only time I mentioned a revisit was a revisit to Halloween Town, kind of, but I only mentioned it once, and made it as one big major factor, kind of. So it was very weird, during the first concept. In fact, I threw it away. Actually, I more or less shredded it because that's a lot of things I do with my papers. I just shred them. I don't throw them away. I shred them. Like as if they had my personal information on there. There. I'm not paranoid. Whatever. But of course I was like, okay, originally I was going to do. But then I ran into a bit of a problem. Because I didn't know how I was going to cut them up into how I was going to implement that into the 13. And then I realized that the amount of times I saved, because I save every time I go to a save point, I save there, and this was something that was implemented during the editing process, where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go edit during the parts where I'm saving, and then pick up when the save goes through. You know, it was pretty simple logic. And I basically just went edit from there, using the skeletal little worlds that you visit, and of course revisit as sort of the base template for these 13 episodes. And of course, I got out a piece of paper. I wrote down the timestamps from which it needed to be done. Well, actually, originally this was all going to be done in Windows Movie Maker. It took about 12 to 15 hours in order for the whole video to be playable on Windows Movie Maker. Like, it got imported in, but then it was like working on the audio and video syncage during the editing process. And man, did it take a while for that bar to load. And once it finally did load, that's when I started going through the timestamps, like just cutting from right there, trying to cut as close as I could as possible. Cool. So on it, and it worked. And it worked out pretty fine. But then when it came to, I think it was like episode 3, where I was having the biggest problems, like trying to do it. Yeah, because apparently it kept on saying like the file was corrupted. I'm like, that can't be. Hey, okay. What if I just isolate, let's say episode 3, and just make it its own deal. And even then, once I finally be able to get it all covered up, because I think I did like post commentary for it, that through Windows Movie Maker, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure on it. It's been a while since I refer back to that episode itself, and then I realized that it still would not render because it still thought the file was corrupted. So then I'm like, oh, fuck, because at this time I was editing the episodes through Windows Movie Maker. Meanwhile, I was doing the Keymarks comparison videos for us on Showbiz basically back to back, kind of. No. And I was like, okay, this will work well. This will make me get the Kingdoms comparison video out. At the time, it was gonna be around my birthday because I had delayed even more because at the time I was doing some pretty conventional schoolwork, and that sort of dragged on the time in order to do that video. So, the one way I could fix up the corrupted video was not the solution I wanted to do,